Alright, well, I just got done watching the first episode of Season 2 of Vikings, and I'm going to try to make this quick because I got two more TV shows to watch tonight, and, well, honestly, I don't. When it comes to Vikings, there's not really a whole lot I can say that a lot of other people haven't said, and true, I can say that about a lot of TV shows, but Vikings in particular, I don't really know how popular it is with the common TV audience. Sadly, the common TV audience tunes into stuff like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but I don't know. Vikings just doesn't really seem as high profile to me as something like Game of Thrones or NCIS. It seems a little more. I don't want to say indie, but basically what I said before, a little less high profile. But for the most part, I'm going to try and keep this video spoiler free, and like I said, I'm going to try to keep it short. For the most part, season 2 of Vikings opened very strongly. I really liked this episode. I can't really think of a bad episode of Vikings, although none of the Vikings episodes really strike me as the greatest thing I've ever seen. But Vikings overall strikes me as a very solid TV show, and to be able to pull that off with with uh, with as much historical accuracy as I think I've seen in a while from a TV show like this. And I've heard differing accounts on this. I've heard some people say that the show is very historically accurate, while others say that it's just another Hollywoodized version of it. It seems pretty accurate to me. It seems pretty accurate to the times. It seems pretty accurate to the culture. Speaking of which, that brings me to my first point. The production value and the production design are still outstanding on this show. In fact, I actually think they improved over season 1. And season 1, I think was a sight to behold in terms of really beautiful cinematography and just the sights. You really felt like you were there in this exotic Viking land in Scandinavia, and in this very harsh Viking village. So the production value has improved. I felt more like this was a place where people actually lived. I felt more like this place was very much steeped in culture, and I don't know. The Vikings just felt the Viking sets and the Viking exteriors. They felt more real. Not that they didn't feel real in season 1, but in season 2, I think they topped themselves, at least so far. The performances are still very strong. Ragnar is played by Travis Fimmel. I think that's what his name is. I'm sorry. I'm very unfamiliar with these actors, but Ragnar is still very well played, and the character of Ragnar and the character of his brother Rollo. These are difficult characters to play because they do essentially, and this is where I think the show really nails the times, is that they do seem like Viking men, true Viking men, and those guys were not exactly very likable a lot of the time. So to be able to still make them fairly likable while at the same time keeping them true to history is a difficult task for any actor, and I think these guys pull it off. Travis Fimmel and Clive Stanton as his brother. I think do a really solid job. They have really good chemistry with each other, and they both look like Vikings. They both pull it off very well, and yeah, they just capture that perfect balance between harshness and likability. So really impressed by them, and I'm also really liking Katheryn Winnick as Ragnar's wife, Lagertha, and honestly, after this episode, she's now my favorite character. And that actually brings me to something that this episode really did well, is that it advanced several plot points and it advanced several character relationships in a very meaningful way, and in a way that I don't really think they're going to be able to take back. I don't really think there's any reversing this back to status quo, because there are some big changes, most notably with Ragnar and his brother and Ragnar and his wife. There are some big changes, and some characters make some very difficult decisions, and it is handled phenomenally well. In fact, at the end of the episode, the end of this episode was actually very heart-wrenching. I was so impressed with how bad I felt. I know that sounds weird, but I was so impressed with how bad I felt for these characters, and how I really got caught up in just how much of a blow this was. So by that, you've probably guessed this episode doesn't exactly have a happy ending. But that does not mean that the show is not fun. Which brings me to the action scene. This episode opens with a big battle between two opposing factions, and Ragnar's on one faction, and his brother has joined the other faction, and they're basically going at it. And this is one of the aspects that I think this show really nails, is that the combat is just visceral. It is so brutal. It is, and there's not an overabundance of it either, but it does not feel Hollywoodized. It does not feel overly stylized. It feels real. You feel like these guys are chopping each other up. You feel like these guys will not hesitate to resort to dirty tactics if they feel like they're about to die. I mean, in these battles, you really do get the sense that it's kill or be killed, so I really appreciated that. If I had one minor complaint with the fights, is that I think this one, I'm trying to remember some of the camera work in season 1, because I don't really have the best abiding memory of the fights in season 1, because there weren't that many. But if I have one complaint about the fights in this show, is that I think they're filmed a little too close up. I mean, I think the camera is just a little too close to the action. If they were to back off maybe a foot or two, then I would say these are some of the best filmed fights on television right now. But as it stands, they are still very well shot. They are still very exciting, and it's just that they're filmed a little too close, at least for my taste. But I found it a little difficult to really make out what was going on at a few points because it is so close. But that's a minor complaint in an otherwise very strong episode. Let's see what else. Not really too much else, but I really enjoyed coming back to this show. I enjoyed how it really advanced some of the subplots. I really enjoyed how it took time to let these characters breathe, because the main plot is that Ragnar wants to expand his influence. He wants to explore new lands. He wants to extend his reach, as it were. Hence why he went on all these raids in season 1. So it's good. I think it's good that they took a break from that and focused on some of the character drama for the premiere of season 1 or season 2. So yeah, that's about all I got for episode 1 of season 2 of Vikings, and hopefully the next episode can live up to this, because man, did this hit me. This was, the dramatic moments in this episode were some of the best dramatic moments that this show has had yet, and hopefully it does not go downhill in the next episode.